Hi everyone. So yesterday we talked about multiplying and dividing by tens, hundreds, and thousands. So in the PowerPoint that we worked yesterday, we were talking about our place value chart. So we plugged in some numbers in our place value chart so we know exactly where to place them. And we also talked about the pattern in our place value chart. And so what we discovered was that our place value chart moves in patterns of tens, right? So we know that when we're dividing, we move to the right by 1 if we're dividing by 10. And then if we're multiplying by 10, we're moving to the left by 1. We move to the right to get smaller, and we're moving to the left to get bigger when we're multiplying. So we're going to work a few problems for you guys. So when you're working on your independent practice, you're going to have something to reference, and it can be this video. So the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to plug in 367, and we're going to divide that by 10. So 3 goes in our hundreds place, 6 goes in our tens place, and then 7 goes in our ones place. So like we said before in our PowerPoint, that when we're dividing by 10, it is getting smaller by 1. So what's going to happen is that we're going to move our number, so we're going to shift our place value to the right once because we're dividing. So we want it to get smaller. So that 7 is going to move to the tenths place by 1 place value. The 6 that's in the tens place is going to move to the ones place by 1 place value. And then the 3 that's in the hundreds place is going to move to the tens place. Okay? So when we are dividing by 10, we're shifting to the right to make it smaller. So then our final answer is going to be 36 and 7/10. Okay, 36.7. Well, what happens, say if we're multiplying, right? Well, we said that if we're moving to the right to divide, then we're going to be moving to the left to multiply because we're going to make that number bigger. So we're going to plug in 3 and 7/10 into our place value chart. So we have 3 that's in the ones place, and then 7 that's in the tens place. And I'm going to draw like a little decimal here so we know that we have a decimal there. So we have 3 and 7/10. Well, this says that we're multiplying by 100. Well, if we're multiplying by 100, we know that our place value chart is moving by groups of 10. So 100 is 2 groups of 10 because we know that 10 times 10 gives us 100. So we're going to move our place value 2 spaces to the left. So this 7 is in the tenths place, and we're wanting to shift it 2 place values. So we go from the ones to the tens. So then our 7 is then going to be in the tens place. So the same thing happens with the 3. Since it's in the ones place, we're going to shift it 1, 2. So our 3 is now going to be in the hundreds place. Okay. And then we're going to put a 0 here as a placeholder because this ones place is now empty. So now our answer, instead of 3 and 7/10, is going to become 370 because we shift it 2 times to our left, right? Well, we did our tens. Well, if we're dividing by 10, we know that we're moving to the right 1. If we're multiplying by 10, we're moving to the left 1 because that's the way our place value chart normally moves. If we're dividing by 100, we're moving it 2 spaces to the right. And if we're multiplying by 100, we're moving it 2 spaces to the left. Okay? So what happens if we're multiplying by 1,000? Well, we see here that we have 3 zeros. Okay? we know that 10 times 10 times 10 is also going to give us thousands. So we're going to then shift our place value 3 times. So 745. Okay, I'm going to make a quick decimal here just so we know, because we are going to be shifting it. All right, so we're going to be shifting it 3 times. I also need to draw another place value. This is going to represent our thousands. Okay. Awesome. All right, so we're going to shift our place value 3 times. So we have 1, 2, 3. So then our 5 goes from the ones all the way to our thousandths place. So we're going to draw a 5 in our thousandths place. Then our 4 that's in our tens place, we're going to shift it 3 times as well. 1, 2, 3. Remember, we're shifting it to the right because we're making it smaller when we're dividing. And that's a 4. And then the 7 that is in our hundreds place is going to shift 3 times as well. So 1, 2, 3. And it's going to be in our tenths place. We're going to have a 7 that's in our tenths place. And I'm going to put a 0 here in our ones place, just as a simple placeholder. So then our answer for 745 divided by 1,000 is going to be 0 and 745 thousandths, right? Because we shifted 3 times to our right. And then one last example. We have 0 and 482 thousandths, and we're wanting to multiply that by 1,000. If we're shifting 3 times to the right when we're dividing, then we're going to be shifting 3 times to the left when we're multiplying, because again, when we're multiplying, we're wanting to make it bigger. I need to add another place value, so this will be our thousandths place. Again, sorry guys, it's not perfect. Okay, and then we're going to plug in 0 and 482 thousand. So we have a 0 here. I'm going to create just a little decimal for 8 and then 2. Okay, and with this time we're going to be shifting to the left, because remember, we're getting bigger, and we're going to shift it 3 times. So this 2 is going to shift 1, 2, 3. So then our 2 is now going to be in our ones place. Same thing is going to happen to the 8. So we're going to shift it 1, 2, 3. So that 8 is then going to be in our tens place instead of the hundredths place. And then we're going to shift the 4 3 times as well. So 1, 2, 3. So instead of it being in the tenths place, it's now in the hundreds place. Okay? So our new answer is going to be 482. So 482. That is our new answer. Okay? So what does this all mean? So there's 2 rules that we really have to understand. So one rule is that when we are dividing we shift the place value to the right. And then 2, when we are multiplying, we are shifting to the left. Why do we do that? When we're shifting to the right, dividing makes your number smaller. So if you notice that when we're moving to the right of our place value, when we're dividing, you'll notice that our place value chart is getting smaller. When we're moving to the left, you notice that when multiplying makes your number bigger. Okay. So when we are dividing, we shift the place value to the right. Dividing makes your number smaller. When you are multiplying, we are shifting to the left. Multiplying makes your number bigger. Okay. So use these two rules as you're working the problems in your independent practice for lesson 1 and the independent practice that you're also going to have for lesson 2. Okay, you can re-watch this video if you get stuck and have any problems. Remember these two rules. Write these rules down in your notes. That way you have them as you are working. Make sure that also you are showing your arrows as well as you are moving and showing that shifting in your place value chart. You should be working these problems and examples that are in your Module 1 packet. All right, bye guys.